Hello, and welcome to the Professor Podcast with Ruth and Claire. Each episode, we talk about a particular topic in the life of a professor. We are tenure-track faculty members in the sciences, working at a primarily undergraduate university in California. The purpose of our podcast is reflection, so we bring something we think is working and something we're working on to discuss. Hello, I'm Claire.
Hi, I'm Ruth.
And you're listening to the Professor Podcast.
Awesome. And so what we thought would be a fun way to start it would be to start with a relevant quote from a celebrity professor. And so Claire's giving us that quote.
I can teach you how to bottle fame, brew glory, even stopper death, if you aren't as big a bunch of dunderheads as I usually have to teach. That was Professor Snape from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, if you weren't already familiar. So Ruth, why did you pick this particular quote?
So I picked that quote because Professor Snape is, as we all know, turns out to be awesome. And I love Alan Rickman's delivery in the movie. And I feel like that's not the message I'm trying to send to students. But a lot of my concerns about the first day of class is setting the tone. And he does that in what he's trying to set the tone for. He does that beautifully in this moment. So that's why I picked that quote.
And setting the tone is a very important aspect. Our topic this episode is the beginning of the semester, starting off the semester. And so, what did you come as something that's working well for you with starting the semester, and how does it relate to Professor Snape?
So one of the things, the first thing I guess I think that's been going well for me is in a physics classroom, there's a lot of fear and stress. And then there's a lot of overconfidence, or, there's just such a mix of how people feel coming into the classroom. And so the first thing I'm trying to establish is respectful behavior and then some kind of community in the classroom and just some connections. So what I've been doing is having an assignment before the first day of class where students, like we use Canvas as our software for the classroom, introduce themselves to each other on a discussion forum.
Great.
And they have to put 3 images that kind of relate to some aspect of their story, where they call home, what's the name they prefer, and then they have to reply to each other. And I had to do this in a course and it irritated me no end. I was like, this is so stupid. But it did help on the first day because then you see people and you know who they are. And so then I take one photo from that each of them picked and make a slide. And when I do that, I'm trying to say something about who's in the classroom. And like sometimes people come in and they think I have nothing in common with any of these people. And then realize like so-and-so has 3 kids or so-and-so is from here and I'm from there. And trying to kind of have that consciousness of the other people in the room with you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so it's been working pretty well. And then I lead into a discussion about respectful behavior and making sure that everybody feels safe to contribute. And having them come up with norms of behavior. And
That's
so
great.
they come up with things, which really surprises me because at first I thought they would be like, let's have no homework or let's end class, 10 minutes. But they don't. They come up with really thoughtful things.
That's great.
Yeah. So I really appreciated that.
Well, there are lots of things in there that I'm interested in. So do you do this in all your classes?
I do. And sometimes for the upper division ones, I've been playing with having them come up with like a physicist that they feel resonates with them.
Okay. And
sharing that as well, but not in the intro one.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that they interact with each other within the Canvas site?
They do because it's graded and it's super artificial. And I know that, but it still helps somewhat. And it kind of, there's been one thing that really was not something I anticipated, but somebody shared in that forum that they had Asperger's and they described what other students could expect from them in class and and that blew my mind.
Yeah.
And that was because obviously they don't need to disclose this information, but they felt comfortable doing that. And it was just so helpful because I think other people could have interpreted their behavior in a certain way, but because they had this information,
I see.
It really changed that.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then what kinds of classroom rules do they end up coming up with?
They come up with things like the biggest one is not to talk in class.
Okay.
And I'm really, it's really much more effective than me saying it. And they often say, like, say if someone asks a question, don't talk while the professor's giving an answer, because other people want to hear that.
Sure.
And not to have noisy food. It was another one.
Noisy food?
Noisy food, yes, apparently. But again, all this stuff would just be so, like, not resonant with them if I say it.
Right, of course.
And the main one that people say is not to be mean to other people's questions.
Those sound like great things.
Yeah, they're way better than what I would come up with.
And how long, I'm just thinking of concerns that I might have before implementing it. How long out of the class does that take for you to do that?
This whole show that I do kind of takes the whole hour. Because I do, like, when I go through the syllabus and I do a lot, I've had some really, like, classes go completely sideways before and really not establish those kind of norms and had people sneering at people. And so I really spend a lot of time, like, almost the whole first period goes over to kind of those expectations.
Kind of nip it in the bud.
Yeah, totally.
That sounds great.
You can't try to change direction.
Yeah, once the classroom dynamic starts going one way, it's really a lot of momentum.
Yeah. I like your physics reference. Thank you.
Try to throw in physics when I know something.
I'm going to try and get you back with chemistry. And what about you?
So my beginning of the semester thing that's working well is, it actually started because at the beginning of last semester, it wasn't working well. And it was that I had left making the syllabus and, like, planning out, you know, all those normal pre-semester things you have to do. I left until the last minute, and then it was really just a frantic start to the semester. And so I said, okay, not doing that anymore. And what I did was last finals week, I made my syllabus, I made my Canvas page, I even published my Canvas page with the syllabus on it, and that really just made everything a lot more comfortable at the beginning of this semester.
You're blowing my mind and reminding me that I have not made this.
Oh, no.
But yes, good.
See,
wow.
Yeah. So, and it really was nice. I did have to change my office hours because of some weird thing, and so I had to do that minor change in my syllabus. But other than that, I just hit print. And I, you know, going forward, I even want to do more of that, like finals week, you know. I mean, it's so tempting to just say, okay, I'm done, but I'm already going, you know, so it's a good time to...
But don't you think that's so meaningful? Like, the biggest thing I think students pick up on is preparation and whether you're prepared or not. But the fact that you're even, like, already percolating on what's going to happen next semester, that's cool.
And, you know, some things in particular that were a lot easier. Like, I have this field trip and I hadn't scheduled it before. And so it was a big, you know, unknown. How do you schedule it? Is the date going to be available? And what do I do if it's a different date? So getting that done before, that would have been, if I was doing that right now, I'd be much more stressed out
that
than
is
I am right now.
Really, really cool. Also, I'm glad physics people, we don't go outside, so we don't have to do field trips, but that is super cool.
So, yeah, I'm excited. Going to try to keep it up. I need to put a reminder in my calendar for finals week this semester to actually do it.
But I do, and, like, I don't know how exactly, but I feel like that, like, is reflected to the students, even if they don't really know, okay, you went and did this in finals week, like, just that sense of, I'm totally steering this ship and everything's fine and everything, like, that really does come across in those kind of things.
Of course, there are other things that just occurred to me this week. I was like, oh, I didn't get, what if I don't have this chemical I need or something?
Right, but what if you didn't have a syllabus ready?
As well as not having the chemical, right, good point.
That is very cool. I like that a lot.
Cool. So what area are you trying to work in with respect to beginning the semester?
It's almost the same thing as what's working well. Like, and this is why, like, Professor Snape's sort of the hero, because he does establish so much of himself on the first day.
Right.
And
first 5 minutes.
I get really anxious about class and, like, the night before.
Yes.
Because it's just so much about how's it going to go. And you know those semesters where it's just, like I said, gone totally sideways?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like, and I think I put too much into, like, how this magical first class will go. So sometimes I have a hard time with, like, fully getting respect, I think, because I think I come across like a little, I don't know what, like, I've had students kind of candidly be like, oh yeah, when I first met you, I was like, there's no way this can be my physics professor. And so kind of establishing some authority
from the get-go. Sure.
Yeah, maybe not Dunderhead style, but
right.
And then the other thing that I think I've talked to you about this before, is getting information about pronouns in a way that isn't, like, I've heard of other students told me that in classes where they were told to just stand up and say their pronouns and they're not comfortable sharing that information. Sure. And so I don't think that's something I want to put in the discussion forum.
Right.
Because that's public, or I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, the pronouns thing, I got a cool tip on that. And it was in general starting off the semester by asking the students to tell you 3 things about themselves, but on a note card, so nobody else saw it. So you pass out note cards, and everybody writes their name as it is on your syllabus. And
so
then
you can find them.
So you can find them. And then you also say, write your name as you'd like me to call you. So that could be simple, like Chris instead of Christopher, or it could be a transgender thing, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Or it could be going by middle, and it could be any number of things. And then the other thing I like to put on those cards is 3 things about yourself. It could be anything. And then I reciprocate and tell them 3 things about myself and what to call me and stuff. And you could also put on those cards, what is your pronoun?
Yeah.
And then and you can use the proper pronoun. And if I don't know, you could even put on there, I haven't thought about this before, but you could put, is it okay for me to use this pronoun?
I like that, because then in class, like, do you feel okay for me? Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something, and maybe I wouldn't, like, need to do the things about yourself, but maybe just, like, at the end of class, like, totally I like that a lot. That's cool.
Yeah, the things about yourself thing is just something that I like to do, but that's not really related to pronouns, of course.
Yeah. And then do you go through and read all of them?
I do. I read them, like, normally shortly after class. But, of course, at that point, I don't know who anyone is.
True, yeah.
And so usually I read them just to get an idea of, is there anything that I really need to watch out for? Is somebody super interested in this thing? Or, I need to remember that Chris goes by whatever. But then throughout the semester, once I get to know them a little bit better, I might say, let me look back. I don't remember what this person's
nice.
name
Okay,
is.
so you still have
like
it
that.
as
so I actually have several past semesters just in my desk.
Cool.
So, yeah, I've enjoyed doing that, but I think it would work really well with the pronouns.
Cool. Look at us solving problems. The first episode. So tell us about what's the thing that you want to work on.
Okay. Well, first I just want to say, as far as setting the tone on the first day, I think about that too, and I always have a dream of, like, I forgot to print out my syllabus and it's day 1 and I'm printing it as, that.
Yes.
And then one semester I did print my syllabus early, but somehow my fly was down on the very first day of class.
That's so magical.
So
how
that was
wonderful.
Great. So anyway,
that is a tone you're setting.
It's true. It's not the tone I was aiming for.
Yeah.
Okay, but my thing about struggling with the start of the semester is office hours and when to schedule them.
Yeah.
So people say lots of things about office hours, like you should offer them at varying times of day so that more people are able to come. And that makes sense, but it's a little confusing for me with my schedule, so there's lots of factors to consider. There's what is the best time for the students, which you maybe don't know. Some people poll their students, I've heard, and then pick their office hours based on the poll.
That makes me so anxious, because I feel like you're kind of committing to, and what if you can't?
Right.
At those times. And
then it seems like some faculty then get resentful. They're like, I planned my schedule based on what you wanted, and you're not coming, or something like that. So then the other option is you just schedule them when it's best for you, with some, you don't schedule them at 7 a.m. or something, but, and that's generally been a good philosophy. That's normally what I do.
What if, can I make a suggestion? So I've done this once and I haven't done it recently, but it worked then, was to, like, really say, these are my office hours. By the end of the week, let me know if you cannot attend any of them.
Interesting.
And then, like, you're not committing to changing it, but you could.
If somebody.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. And I have this freakishly small class this semester, which is good. And I was thinking about, in Google Calendar, you can do, like, to find a meeting time with someone, you can type in their name.
Yes.
And see. And so I don't know if that's practical for you in like terms of class size.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So I have 2 classes this semester. One of them only has 12, and it's the class that meets 4 times a week. So I thought I want to make sure that they can all attend my office hours. And so I did look up all their schedules, and there was one time almost everybody had lots of availability at 1 p.m. So I said, okay, 1 p.m. But then there was some recent change in rules that was saying you should offer them at varying times because of that, and so I got an exception. It was all fine. But anyway, it's a tricky question.
That is tricky.
But I love your idea of asking them, saying, hey, if any of you can't attend any of these. Because also they might have other commitments that aren't classes, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And so I don't know those at all.
And that is something I think we struggle with a little more at our institution, that a lot of our students work, and they work a lot. And so, we should have a whole episode about office hours and luring students into office hours.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. That is, sorry, I don't feel like I have much.
No, that's a good tip. And yeah, what I ended up doing is just going for the consistent time of day. But I did, normally I go for what works best for me and then try to see if there's any problems.
Well, and I think,
I don't know if that's fair.
As you said in our promo or trailer, like sanity is a big thing. And I have had semesters where I just pretzel myself. And then I do feel so grumpy at the students.
Right.
And
that's not helpful.
Right. And they're not telling me to do that. Like I'm doing it myself. And then I do feel resentful.
Totally.
And so I think that's my overarching goal for this semester is boundaries.
Boundaries. I love it.
And not just even with my day.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
When do you having lunch?
Yeah. Having lunch.
Going to the bathroom.
Going to the bed. Don't forget. I do sometimes.
Oh, well, I told you last semester I got a kidney infection. And it's just, but I've talked to so many people who end up having to like pee for 4 hours because you didn't get a chance to go before lab or,
So, boundaries. Going to the bathroom.
Going to the bathroom.
Love it. That's a great place to start.
I'm so glad that's where I ended up on the first day. It's like,
Oh, man.
Yeah, good. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to put a note in my calendar for finals week to make my syllabus.
Great. And I'll send an email to my students asking if they can come to, or if they can't come, what'll I say? I'll say, if you can't come to any of these office hours, please let me know in the first week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might get a black cape and sweep into the classroom like a la Professor Snape. Yeah, that could be good.
Yeah.
Well,
gotta
awesome.
set the tone. Well,
thank you for meeting with me today.
Oh, thank you. Good luck with the beginning of the semester.
I know. We can report back in the next episode. Yeah.
Yes. Well, if any of you listeners have any thoughts on these topics or have any suggestions about future topics, we would love to hear them. And we do not have an email address yet, but when we do, we will put it in the notes and you can email us there.
Awesome. And let us know if you have any special celebrity or professors that you want us to reference.
Yes, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.